Today on the Topping Show, wish you a happy 4th of July. The Supreme Court rules that Trump does in fact have immunity. Nancy Pelosi attempts to defend Biden's speaking ineptitudes, but she herself stumbles. AOC on the Supreme Court Trump ruling. Representative Ilhan Omar hosted an event with 0 American flags but dozens of Somalian flags while speaking Somali. Gun owners of America react to the Supreme Court Chevron repeal. School board shows a climate change cartoon with adult content. The Boy Scouts of America march in a pride parade and get mixed feedback. Mercedes to backpedal from EV first to high-tech ICE engines. Redbox parent company files for bankruptcy. Deere layoffs update. Costco to change their chicken packaging and people are frustrated. And Glenmark Pharmaceuticals recalls a medication due to cardiac arrest risk. All of that and much, much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. Tease me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also giving away a free 50 caliber musket or flintlock pistol with every IT purchase. Go to toppingtechnologies.com to learn more. Also, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have some good news. Mercedes is backpedaling on their EV first initiative, now shifting to high-tech ICE engines. Shift, pun obviously moderately intended, as every car should have a stick shift. Unfortunately, it's been a while since Mercedes has done that, but perhaps I'm just foolishly optimistic and think maybe they will someday. Probably not, but one can hope. Now this comes to us thanks to thedrive.com, which A+ for marketing, you know exactly what they do. This particular article is from Jose Rodriguez. He says, quote, Mercedes is walking back its all-EV future to invest in high-tech combustion. They say, quote, just a few years ago from switching from EV first to EV only, Mercedes says it's throwing its weight behind future ICE development, which brings a tear to my eyes to see Mercedes doing the right thing since they've run over many potholes throughout the years, pun obviously intended. And I mean, this is some good news. A couple months ago, or rather weeks ago, we got some news that the Mercedes-AMG Performance Sedan, they finally woke up and figured out, yeah, no one wants an inline-4 internal combustion engine for that. They want a V8, as all AMGs should be by default, obviously. So they did actually listen to consumer feedback after everyone decided, yeah, we're not going to buy that. Again, an inline-4 internal combustion engine is great for like my Honda Civic Si, with a stick shift only, as all cars should be by default. But like for Mercedes-AMG, them trying to stuff an inline-4 in there, just ridiculous. A consumer's perspective, but Mercedes did listen. Here we have a nice picture of the iconic Mercedes AMG GT, which is an awesome sports coupe. Obviously I wish they had a stick shift option, not that I could get one anytime soon, but there's something cool about that. And it almost brought a tear to my eye. I actually saw one at the track being driven as intended. Most of these things are concrete queens, so to say. They look really good, but they don't actually use them as the engineers intended. And I forget the gentleman, but there's a guy at the track who has a matte gray Mercedes AMG GT. He actually takes it to the track and drives it as intended. And it makes me smile every time I see those types of things. Now, I'll go ahead and I'll leave that nice picture on the screen while I read a little bit of this article, so you got some nice little eye candy. And in addition to my awesome apparel. Now, they say, quote, Mercedes-Benz is the last domino to fall in the long line of automakers have seen their EV plans tumble like small tiles, one after the other. They had actually intended to be full EV by 2030. And now they're going to develop, actually pumping millions into further internal combustion engines. Mercedes CEO Ola Klaus tells Witcher Staatsschein, which, apologies, I'm definitely butchering that German either website or news outlet. He says that combustion engines are going to, quote, last well into the 2030s. So Mercedes has no choice but to make massive investments into ICE. Now, they also know that, of course, they're going to have to make them even more and more efficient due to the tyrannical governments trying to take away our awesome cars away from us. There's a reason Dodge is moving away from the good old V8 Hemis to acquiescing to EVs and straight six engines, which a straight six is good for BMW with a stick shift, obviously, but yeah, for like Dodge, really Dodge? No, but because the tyrannical governments are pushing down them and forcing them to, is certainly not customer demand. Now, scrolling down, I actually do have another nice close-up of their good old big engine there. There we go. Although, it is unfortunate, a little annoying when they have almost as if they went to McDonald's and asked for, hey, can we get all your plastic toys and melt them down into a piece of plastic to put on top of the engine to dampen the sound vibrations so people can't hear the engine? spoiler alert, we do want to hear the engine. Well, enthusiasts do. And it just looks so dumb when they have that big honking piece of plastic on top of it. But again, that's just me. Now, they say they're going to make, let's see here. They still plan to be carbon neutral by 2040, but they're going to pivot a couple things to get there. They'll have some more hybrids, of course, but thankfully it looks like they're going to still make a couple things with a good old gas engine. So there's some good news. Will they make a stick shift? Probably not. I mean, I don't know what the Las Vegas bettings are odds on that, but it's like 1 in 100, or no, it's probably worse than that. Needless to say, I don't think the odds are good, but it is nice to see them continuing to make a good old ICE engine, as again, consumers overwhelmingly want, and it would be interesting to see. Again, I'm just foolishly optimistic. Imagine a Mercedes AMG GT sports coupe with a stick shift. That would be awesome and impressive, to say the least. Not great. How many would they sell? Probably not too many, but make people like me smile ear to ear, and if I won the lottery, I'd certainly get one. Now, let me know in the comments, do you think we're going to see this trend continue as you have most major automotive companies pivoting back from their full EV goals to acquiescing to giving to consumer demand? And it'll also be interesting to see how long will they allow the government to bully them into acquiescence and making more of those hybrids, as well as EVs. It's one of the biggest contributing factors of why so many EVs are popping up left and right. As always, let me know in the comments. I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Redbox parent company filing for bankruptcy. The iconic movie rental company maybe no more, perhaps. Now, this is brought to us thanks to The Verge, which this is Janko Rodriguez. His quote, Redbox owner files for bankruptcy after repeatedly missing payments and payroll. The company hasn't paid employees in over a week and owes money to almost everyone in Hollywood. Which, interestingly enough, they're actually owned by Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment, which I had no idea they're still in business. I knew them, and I'm pretty sure it's the same company that makes those Chicken Soup for the Soul little books that people read. I don't think I actually bought one, but I checked one out at the library back in the day. And I mean, Redbox was one of the best inventions when it comes to movie rentals. I mean, eloquently spoken, it was a red box. The movies were just shoved into a red box. But you had a cool touchscreen, you scroll through all of them. And it was a lot more convenient because they put them at pretty much every corner on the planet. There almost seem to be more Redbox locations than grains of sand in Starbucks. Like, they were everywhere. And I mean, when I was a kid, back in my day, it was $1 to rent it. Like, it was basically nothing relative to Blockbuster and all other ones. And again, the convenience is perfect in most grocery stores. That's where that's where I would get them back in the day. Pretty good selection because of the size of the DVDs. There's compact enough. And fun business fact, the original inventor of the Redbox, I read there's a cool little YouTube documentary months ago. He had this idea for a similar machine that had a vending machine for VHS tapes. But at the time, VHS tapes were too thick. They were too, fragile because, again, they used magnetic tape and a bunch of plastic. So if you dropped it, it was just very cumbersome and not efficient. But thanks to the DVD technology and then subsequently Blu-ray, I mean, those red boxes could hold probably thousands of DVDs. I mean, much more efficient, and that's where really you saw it come to market as an actual product. Now, going back to the article, they say, quote, Redbox owner Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment filed for bankruptcy protection. This comes after the tail end of a month in which the DVD rental company defaulted on loans, sought an order for its cars to be repossessed, and missed payroll for many employees. Chicken Soup for the Soul informed employees of the filing late last Friday, writing an email seen by The Verge had filed for a debtor in possession of loan, a way for companies that are reorganizing after filing for bankruptcy to secure additional working capital to meet payroll. It's a pressing matter for the company, as employees have been waiting for paychecks since June 21st. Ouch. That's rough. I've been there. Let's just say this is a fascinating phenomenon where Hewlett-Packard Enterprise gets sued every couple of years by employees because they weren't paid properly. But nevertheless, the company also promised to reinstate health insurance for his employees, which lapsed in May. However, it's not certain that the company will be able to secure such a loan. Chicken Soup's bankruptcy filing shows that the company owes money to a large number of retailers, including Walmart, Walgreens, as well as major Hollywood studios like Universal, Sony, Lionsgate, and Warner Brothers. Other creditors include smaller studios, streaming platforms, and small TV manufacturers, with a list of names including BBC, Vizio, Plex. Oh my gosh. They note that Redbox and Chicken Soup owned Crackle have been operating their own free ad-supported streaming services in a variety of platforms. The company also owes money to its landlords, the vendor it rents its car fleet from, and others. Oh, this gets rough. They say Chicken Soup took on $325 million in debt when it acquired Redbox in 2022, and has been sued over a dozen times over unpaid bills. Which, gosh, it's a bad investment. Again, and not even looking at the finances of the company, just the concept of Redbox. I mean, at one time, in terms of having a complementary business, one that made sense was Coinstar. I believe that's the name of the giant vending machine where you put the coins in, you get a receipt, and they take their commission. That company, for a brief time, did own Redbox, which that was one of the reasons you saw them so close together in terms of machine maintenance and visiting some efficiencies. Just that made sense to me. But again, this is 2022. Very few people actually buy or rent physical media, and can't help but remember back in the day, definitely not recommended, not to be nostalgic, but LimeWire was a thing back in the day, and streaming services are getting more expensive, so I know Pirate Bay is probably up again. They've never been able to get that thing, they'll never be able to get rid of that phenomenon. And again, there are obviously there's use cases for having physical media. I mean, personally, I love to own physical media because it cannot be censored, cannot be edited, and if your favorite movie is gone away from the streaming services, well, you're screwed. If you have physical media, it's yours. It's actually a product you own. But again, 2022, there's a reason Best Buy, they stopped carrying physical media Q4 last year. So you can no longer buy physical CDs and DVDs and Blu-rays from Best Buy. Not that you would ever want to go to Best Buy. But yeah, they bought it in 2022, even if it was pennies on the dollar. Just the concept of Redbox, oh, obviously we're seeing it's not sustainable. I'm so shocked that they bought it that recently, relatively speaking. They note that the company recently settled one of those lawsuits with the NBC Universal, but probably missed the first agreed upon payment, leading to a court order to pay entire $16.7 million balance. Altogether, Chicken Soup has $970 million in debt, according to his bankruptcy filing. Oh my God. And again, I'm not sure how many DVDs you have to rent to make that money. That's an inconceivable amount of debt amount for that company. And I know they have, even to this day, where was I at? I know my podcasting team loves the my interview podcast team. They really like the Tom Thumb sushi. So we'll go there every couple Fridays, and we'll see the Redbox vending machine, and it's cool. I'll take a look at it, but I don't even think I've touched the screen in years. So it is sad to see that they're going through bankruptcy, and I hope everyone's going to get paid promptly and properly, and hopefully they get the health insurance as well. But in terms of, can this company make a comeback in 2024? Again, I'm a big proponent of physical media. I really want it to be an option for everyone. Again, more options for the consumer, the better. I don't see that rental model working right now, especially in areas like, well, rudimentary, simply put, I'm a DFW. Most people around here have really good internet service. There's even less incentive to use something like a Redbox. If you're more rural, then that makes a lot more sense because, again, depending on your internet service, it might be choppy, the videos, it might be more advantageous to have that physical media. To me, that's one of the biggest, that would be a contributing factor, or rather a compelling reason to use the service. But again, in this case, I don't see it being a long-term viable company anymore, unfortunately. And I mean, if they end up going bankrupt for good, rather, well, shoot, let me know in the comments if you see one of those Redbox signs, because I'll add them to the wall of defunct businesses behind me, because I love business history. This especially, I mean, when I was a kid, back in my day, this is one of the coolest convenient things that we used. Granted, it was also, when I saw the highest level of people using it, me and my friends, is before the dawn of streaming, where now you have more streaming services than you can possibly count. But let me know, do you have any fond memories of Redbox? Do you think they'll actually make it out successfully? Put your comments down there, because I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, we have an update for John Deere and their layoffs. Turns out they're going to Mexico, or as some people call it, Mexico. Now, this is brought to us thanks to the Daily Caller. They say, quote, John Deere announces layoffs while moving production abroad. They have their iconic logo over there. This is Mariana Angelica over there. Now, last Friday they actually announced the specific layoffs, but now we know where the jobs are actually going, which I don't say I called it, but I had a high propensity of being right with my guess when I said it was probably going to go to Mexico. Now, she says, oh, apologize for the little screen here. Oh, the computers work. Oh, there we go. Give you a cool picture to look at. Well, moderately cool is their logo. Yeah, it's all right. John Deere announced that it will lay off approximately 610 employees between 3 of its plants in Illinois and in Iowa, or some people call it Illinois. Now, they say that they claim that the quote agricultural machinery giant is set to lay off hundreds of workers due to declining demand for its product, with all the layoffs taking effect on August 30th. The move reportedly affects 230 workers in East Moline, Illinois plant, 230 in Davenport, Iowa, and about 100 in Dubuque, Iowa. Now, it looks like, thankfully, the company is offering the affected workers by supplemental unemployment benefit, covering about 95% of their weekly net pay for up to 26 weeks. based on their length of service. In addition, the company will have reportedly received, the employees being laid off will reportedly receive profit sharing options and health benefits. Scrolling down more and more, they say that despite the profit of $10.16 billion in 2023, John Deere cited operational cost and downturn in the market demands for its layoffs. John Deere reads, quote, "We can confirm Deere leadership recently communicated that rising operational costs and declining market demand requires enterprise-wide changes in how work gets done to achieve our goals and best position the company for the future." Here. Here's a better picture. You can see one of their large machineries. Yeah, there we go. They said amid the organization changes, John Deere's market capitalization stands at about $102.81 billion, with a net income about $4.121 billion reported for the first half of the year. However, the company reportedly revised a profit forecast downwards twice in 2024, which, yeah, that's the worst thing you possibly do. Rudimentally speaking, just telling people, yeah, we think we're going to make less and less money, which scares investors and shareholders. And yeah, I'm not too surprised to hear. I think those are all the major statistics or the major numbers here. Wow, that's even decrease in farm income. That's even, so this is from the Department of Agriculture. This is insane. The agricultural sector's demands are further highlighted by the Department of Agriculture forecast, which predicts a 25.5 decrease in farm income in 2024 compared to 2023. These farmers are between a rock and a hard place, to say the least. And I mean, gone are the days you can get like a farm equipment for any small conceivable amount of money. I mean, people think Ford F-150 or 350 or double XY Banana Falcon trim levels, they think those are expensive at $100,000, which for a truck, yeah, absolutely. But for these types of machinery, John Deere machines are, 250, 350, 450K plus. Because again, they've increased their capabilities, but they're also much more complex, a lot more technology in them. It's one of the biggest investments this farmer will make. And the price just keeps going up more and more and more. And I always wonder how much of the reason companies move to Mexico from, shifting from the United States labor, how much of it not just isn't the cost of labor, because again, the cost of labor in Mexico is a fraction, but also less regulations in the factories down there, I believe that's a huge contributing factor, and also less lawsuits and less to no unions. I mean, one of the reasons the United States, especially in terms of automotive and agriculture, a lot of them are unionized labor, which further increase the cost of goods sold, and interestingly enough, many times decreases the quality of the product. Can't help but think of the United Auto Workers with, General Motors, as well as Ford and Chrysler, where, yeah, interestingly enough, they have the most unreliable vehicles. And that's, pretty much every survey has noted that. And they all just have to be manufactured and assembled by the UAW. I certainly think that is a contributing factor. So it is unfortunate to see these jobs being shipped down south. And it will be interesting to see in terms of John Deere, how much will demand dwindle for these products and machines? Because again, they're moderately durable. They're not great to repair, because that's also another point of contingency with farmers with the right to repair laws. A lot of these companies becoming like smartphone manufacturers where only they can work on the products even though you're buying it. That's a whole topic in and of itself when it comes to farming and agriculture and their demands from a consumer perspective. But yeah, these machines are so large and there's pretty heavy competition. Case New Holland is one of the largest ones out there. They've been growing pretty good. Kabuto is another one, especially for tractors. You have Kinsey out of Iowa. There's a lot more competition than people think when it comes to this type of industry. It'll be interesting to see what happens long term. And in terms of will the jobs ever come back, I don't think so, because of all the aforementioned reasons. So it's unfortunate. It'll be, hopefully those employees are able to find gainful employment at one of the competitors, perhaps, maybe in a complementary industry, or maybe a subcontractor, sub-supplier, John Deere. But it'll be interesting to see how John Deere does this year as, again, demand continues to dwindle. Again, those costs just keep going up and up. So it'd be interesting to see. Of course, let me know in the comments. I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Costco changing their iconic chicken packaging, and people are freaking out, which I didn't even know that was a thing in terms of people caring about the packaging. So, after reading a couple comments, I guess I could understand. Granted, I'm part of the 1% of Americans who are not a member of Costco or Amazon Prime. I'm just a little bit contrarian that way. Now, nevertheless, this comes to us thanks to Fox Business, which somehow still in business. I think I account for 80% of their web traffic these days. I'm only partially kidding. Now, this is from Christine Rousseau. They say, quote, Customers upset after Costco made changes to its rotisserie chicken. Costco apparently also sold 137 million rotisseries in 2023, which is insane when many people speculate it's a loss leader. Or again, they're not making money. Very similar to how a lot of grocery stores will lose money on milk, but they put milk in the back of the store. So you walk past all the other products that are more profitable. They want you, well, they know that you'll pick some of those things and put it in your shopping cart. So it's a way to get people in the door because a lot of people see it as a staple. You kind of need, it's something that you need. So you go there for that one reason, then you buy other things. Again, with Costco, they make all their money from their memberships as well. So if they lose money on one product, they're okay. With that being said, they need to somehow see how they can keep that price point down. So they want to change the packaging. Giving it a nice, oh, that's, yeah. So it went from a lot of people are saying it went from a nice sturdy plastic case, and now it looks like it's coming to a little bag, like a plastic baggie. And I mean, I'm no chicken aficionado. I think a friend got some Costco chicken once, and I think I liked it well enough. But nevertheless, it looks like a little black bag, a little plastic black bag you see through. That would have been fun and cheeky if they were actually do like an outline of an oven around the chicken. But that's, again, that really doesn't matter. People are buying it just because it's, cooked chicken at an affordable price. Well, actually, it's less than not. It's actually not affordable for Costco because they're losing money on it. But I partially kid there. Now they say, quote, some Costco members are calling foul. That's gotta be a pun, I hope. After the retailer changed the packaging of its mega popular rotisserie chickens. Previously, the rotisserie chickens were packaged in a plastic clamshell container. Now, in what the Warehouse Club says is an environmentally friendly move, the rotisserie chickens are sold in plastic food service bags. Which, I'm not sure how much the environmental factor really matters. In this case, I think the biggest contributing factor is going to be cost. Now, I mean, not only is the clamshells more expensive, they have to pay for these things. It's a sturdier plastic. This is probably paper thin plastic, or plastique if you want to feel fancy. And not just the cost of the per unit is expensive because it's more material, but also the cost of transportation and logistics. A lot of people don't think about it, but every pallet of stuff that ships to you, there's a whole science and engineering that goes into how much stuff they can fit on a single pallet. I mean, in this case, it's not infinitely more efficient. What is it? Maybe 1,000 times more efficient in terms of how many of those little plastic sheet bags can they fit on top of each other versus, again, those clamshell ones. Now, they say the quote, the packaging shift began in March 2024 and is gradually rolled out throughout the United States per Consumer Reports. In June 2024 edition of the magazine, Costco Connections, which of all the magazines I've ever heard of, I didn't know they had their own magazine. That's kind of funny. Costco explained that the packaging would save millions of pounds of plastic on every year. Costco says, quote, you may notice a classic Costco item in a different container. Kirkland Signature seasoned rotisserie chicken now comes in a bag. Based on a projected rotisserie chicken sales in 2024 in the U.S., new packaging will save an estimated 17 million pounds of plastic every year, unquote. Which nobody cares. I was about to say no one cares. 8 people care, and they're all in San Francisco. Average Americans do not care. Now, what they should have said in terms of, again, PR or marketing, they should have been, in my opinion, just more transparent and blunt. Be like, we do everything we can to ensure we can give you a high-quality chicken at the lowest price point possible. We're doing everything possible we can conceivably think of to not raise the prices and fight for you. I mean, their founder he used to be very bombastic in terms of his rhetoric and saying how, do not raise their damn prices. Again, little ADHD comment on the history of Costco. There's a one time where a couple of years back, the CEO was starting to realize that they were going to lose money on the hot dog drink, soft drink combo, the iconic combo for $1.50. And he went to the founder of the company and said, hey, the cost of pork is going up. We need to increase the price. Otherwise, we're going to start losing money on it. The founder was so irate. He looked at the CEO. He literally said, again, cover your ears if you're children listening. He said, if you raise the price of that, I will fucking kill you. That's how passionate he was about keeping that price point down. And to the CEO's credit, he went out and did it. He actually crushed the numbers. They found that if they were to buy their own pork manufacturing plant, they could still make a profit at that $1.50 price point. Now, that was years ago. To this day, now I'm guessing they're losing money on that combo. Now it's just great marketing because people talk about Costco for that one thing. But that's how passionate about this company is about getting you to the lowest price point. That's why I'm so surprised that they went the environmental route, which again, some people care about. But there's also plastic recycling, which sometimes works, but I wouldn't have led with that in terms of the PR for this. Now, they say that, quote, the bag also takes less space to transport. Called it. 1 pallet of the new bags is equivalent to 5 pallets of old packaging, so Costco can remove 1,000 of its flatbed trucks from the road each year. The use of fewer transportation vehicles will eliminate 4,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide annually, unquote. Which again, no one gives a damn. Okay, sorry, again, 18 people care, or 8 people care, and they're all in San Francisco. No one cares about that, Costco. People go to you for one reason: to get the greatest quality product for the lowest price point per unit. This is terrible marketing. And now, in terms of the feedback, here's a picture of the old, the OG plastic one, which, that looks heavy duty. I don't want to say it's, radioactive proof, but it's something you may or may not be able to just throw out or throw into Chernobyl and pick up in a couple days and may or may not be unaffected by the radiation. Now, some of the business writer Fu Thang on X says this is a rare Costco L to be sure. He said that the bags, are extremely leaky and less good for storing leftovers. Customers can't pick out the good chickens. Which, okay, I'm looking at the screen. Again, I'm no chicken aficionado, but I see the package with, the traditional, plastique heavy-duty one, clamshell design. You can see the whole chicken. I mean, the seasoned rotisserie chicken, it's in a clear plastic bag. There's a black outline on the edge, which shows also the company brand, the Kirkland signature, but I'm not seeing it as if you can't tell. I mean, if anything, I would argue it's more transparent. So you'd actually be able to see the chicken a little bit easier. So I'm not sure what he's going on around there. Now, it looks like another user on X said, quote, "Your new chicken roast bags are leak like crazy. The whole trunk was soaked by the time I got home. 2 bags, both leaking." This is according to user Wrangle83. That's even worse. Yeah. Some users said, "Can't recycle plastic bags in my city, but we can recycle hard plastics." Okay. Which, that sounds even more insult to injury. So it's actually leaking all over. To me, that would be the biggest point of contention. Because again, most people don't want chicken soup all over the car, usually. There's an iconic Costco store right there. Yeah, their stock is still ridiculously good. Jeez Louise. Again, not financial advice. $845.67 per share. Granted, by the time this video is rendered and uploaded, it'll change, so the stock market does. But wow, that's a pretty penny. And again, to Costco's credit, it's still $4.99, and it's been that way for decades. So again, if they're talking about the environment, and people are saying it's leaking as well. So that's the downside of when I guess you go too cheap. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure the logistics or the technical specs of this bag, or in terms of how thick it is, or actually, if it actually does leak everywhere. But that's certainly not great news. Which means either you have to make the bag. Oh, whoops! It'll pop up somewhere. It's always Fox that does that. Of course, yes. Good old Fox and their pop-ups. To their credit, they have to do something to try to get people to listen to them. Lord knows, I think they have maybe 12 people still listening these days. But nevertheless, will this affect your choice to buy a rotisserie chicken from Costco? Apparently, the price point is still the same for decades. I mean, they have to decrease that price point somehow. Maybe this means people... No. It'd be hilarious if the free market, in terms of someone to create... Now, I'm not sure this is profitable, but if they have a third party, someone to stand outside Costco with like clamshell chicken containers, just sell them to people and see how many people would actually buy them. Be like, you can safely transport your rotisserie chicken leak-free now thanks to this clamshell. I mean, it's not the worst idea I've ever had. I mean, maybe one of the top 100, maybe. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Do you think that silly idea would actually, gain any traction? I mean, it really depends how bad it leaks. And guess at what point will consumers not buy it anymore? Because again, if this backfires incredibly, where more and more people are dissatisfied, all of a sudden it goes from a brilliant marketing tactic of being, again, a rotisserie chicken for $4.99 for decades, when people go over there just for that, to all of a sudden it sours people and they go, it's a leaky chicken. It really depends. Do you see the chicken half eaten or half not? Let me know in the comments. I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the culture part of the podcast, you have the gun owners of America on the Chevron repeal by the Supreme Court. Now, this is brought to us, of course, thanks to Gun Owners of America on X Twitter, in which you had this recent ruling by the United States Supreme Court to finally take away some of the power from the overbearing, gluttonous government that is the United States federal government these days. Now, they say, quote, "How judges use Chevron against the Second Amendment. Step 1, claim a statute is ambiguous. Step 2, pretend the ATS interpretation is quote-unquote reasonable. Step 3, rule in favor of the ATF against the Second Amendment. Thank goodness this absurdity of Chevron is over. Which, yes, 110%. It didn't go as far as I thought it would. It got 28,000 views and 1.6 thousand likes. So wait, maybe could I make it 1.7? No, I could not. But yes, this is one of the best pieces of news. Again, there is going to be a whole ripple effect when it comes to the implications of the United States Supreme Court repealing that Chevron sentence. And yeah, one of the reasons why the ATF, some people might compare them to a rudimentary schoolgirl in terms of their mental intellect, or a deceitful devil in terms of how they manipulate the law so they can throw people in jail and kill their dogs, which, spoiler alert, they have a high propensity of doing such things. And you see this in the Second Amendment community so often. That's why a lot of people, if you're pro-Second Amendment, you have to be into politics, because the ATF would just make a ruling and they could turn you to a felon overnight. Or maybe like with the Trump stock ban, very similar. I mean, one of the most famous ones being the pistol brace for the AR-15, where the ATF, again, they signed off on this patent invented by a veteran to have the pistol stock, but it would wrap around your arm instead of being a solid piece of plastic at the end, like a traditional rifle stock. And they said, yes, this is approved, everyone can buy it, you're fine. All of a sudden, the ATF decided, you know what? We're going to reinterpret this rule and make 10 to 40 million Americans felons overnight, because we would treat it like an NFA item, another unconstitutional piece of crap, also known as the National Firearms Act of 1934, which, by that act, in order to buy a suppressor, a short-barreled rifle, short-barreled shotgun, destructive device, or machine gun, if your state allows, you must pay a $200 tax stamp. You also have, nowadays, you have to get a passport photo taken, fingerprints taken, standard 4473 background check, and it usually takes between 6 and 9 months, depending on if you're buying as an individual versus a trust, which, I mean, anyone with a modicum of patriotism or knowledge of the founding fathers would say, that sounds unconstitutional and disgusting to me. It is. And that's all because they just created these laws out of the blue. Now, in regards to the pistol brace. So it is great to see the gun owners of America bring this to everyone's attention. Now, some of the top comments comes from, let's see, Aiden Johnson saying, man, this was so frustrating years ago. Now the bump stock ban and Chevron are overruled in a single year, getting 36 likes, which, yes, they are now legal again from a federal perspective. Depends on what state you live in. But yes, that was, now it is heartbreaking again in terms of the bump stocks. The original patent holder was a veteran, and he actually set up a whole shop in Warren, Texas. And they actually employed almost, I think, 48 people, including his family members. I mean, that thing overtook the market, then the government killed it, and I don't think the business is coming back because binary triggers have overtaken that technology, and some states are banning it. It's sad to see that business go under because of the government being tyrannical. Kevin Evans says, I'm old enough to remember that when the statute was ambiguous, it would be void for vagueness, getting 9 likes. War says, looking forward to a lot of reversals, getting 8 likes. Scrolling down more and more. Nick Pantone says, not just the ATF, but every damn bureaucratic regulatory agency. This is a big win, getting 9 likes. True, big win for the Constitution. Let's see here. So thankfully, we'll see hopefully the solidification of many of our Second Amendment rights as they find that they can no longer actually just ambiguously make up the law on a whim, or more accurately just reinterpret the law and make millions of Americans felons overnight. So some good news for the Second Amendment is always something to cheer for, especially on this day, the 4th of July, where it's kind of disgusting that some we say Americans, some people living in America are anti-gun, and they forget they're only here because their founding fathers had guns. Not only do they have that, but civilians and citizens, guess what? They had more guns than the government. Private citizens had everything from cannons to warships. And that's how our country was founded, and that's how it is intended, and that's how, of course, it should be. Again, little ADHD, the government keeps saying, you can't own a cannon. You couldn't own a cannon back in the day. Not only you can, you should, and in many states, United States, you can. In fact, flintlock pistols, which see over there, again, free flintlock pistol or 50 caliber musket with every IT purchase. Go to toppingtechnologies.com to learn a little bit more. In terms of those, they all had them. And guess what? These aren't even legally considered firearms because they're so rudimentary. So maybe next year we'll do the AR-15, time shall tell, also known as America's rifle. But let me know in the comments, do you think the ATF will actually abide by this? How might they try to sneakily take away our firearms again next? As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have a school showing a climate change cartoon with porn in it. Which, what reason number is this? Is this reason 2,958,735,421 to homeschool your kids? because you have no idea what they're going to be shoving in front of their face. And more often than not, some might argue, says, what is it, maybe 50-50 split between being mentally vacuous and morally vacuous? But I partially digress. This was thanks to Libs of TikTok. And she says, quote, school in Bellevue School District showed this horrifying climate change video to K through 10 or K through 5th grade students that includes a polar bear watching adult content. Trying to keep this moderately family friendly, depicting police as rats and claimed we're going to die from climate change. A district spokesperson said the video was, quote, not approved as a district resource. If that's the case, why was this shown to the children? Why do these mistakes keep happening? Oh, it's simple, because they're not mistakes. They're in doing it, and then they're like most evil politicians and many people. It's the same old thing we've seen for decades. First they say, this isn't happening, it doesn't exist. Then they say, well, it's happening, but it's not really widespread. Then they admit, oh yeah, it's happening, and you should be okay with it. Then they say, oh, this is happening, and you should accept it. Then they say this is happening, you should embrace it. And then further and further until the Overton window is shifted so far, everyone who doesn't want craziest things is now considered alt-right. Now, this is rudimentary cartooning, granted, it's better than the stick figures I do. Now, it's painful. It's about a little under 3 minutes, and the music is But let's see. So you have a rhino. How's that? Chicken and a zebra driving cars. All right. And a pufferfish. Pufferfish is smoking. All right. And then you have gorillas drinking a Starbucks. Now cheetahs. Oh, this is a fun fact, or it's gotta be coincidence. It almost looks like Cheetah Men for the NES, which is only known for being a ridiculously comically bad game. But I won't interrupt too much. Maybe, probably not. How strong's the feeling when we dive? So you have a polar bear at work in a cube farm. Well, so you have a dolphin. Okay, how unrealistic is this? So you have animals working in a cube farm. You have a dolphin next to a parrot, and you have a polar bear, an elephant, a giraffe, and maybe a small smoky bear, or like a raccoon. Then you have the polar bear watching two papa bear polar bears making another one. Again, this is shown at a public school. Across the ocean of my mind, what? You have a dolphin drinking a Coca-Cola with a small hat. The dolphin is obese. Healing with the soul of my senses. Good marketing in terms of Coca-Cola. When you see that iconic bottle shape and the red label, again, doesn't technically say the word Coca-Cola, but you think of the brand. This dolphin throws the drink off into the lake. Whenever you and I would die. And then you have people depicted as like ghouls, and they're chewing on the little 6-pack rings. The person tries to eat the bottle. Maybe they're from Oregon and they're on copious amounts of drugs. Not out of the realm of possibility. Across the ocean. So 2 people ate the bottles and died. Like, I remember back in the day, they used to tell us that turtles always choke on those little 6-pack rings. I'm not sure how many animals are actually choking on plastic. The ghoul family is sitting on the, what is it, an iceberg? So sad. Oh, jeez. Looks like they're at the, the little wastegate, like the Simpsons, and it hits them in the face, they dissolve into nothingness. Well, the gorillas are using machinery. They've advanced quite a bit. They're destroying the rainforest with all the people are. Oh, hilarious, because, again, the real world, there's a lot of rainforest conservation, and it actually is growing. And one of those things where I wonder if they'll actually show them saving them, like giving them free food and homes. More people eating bottles. A gopher? Okay, that's kind of funny. So a gopher is using a bulldozer, which I bet they really wish they could. Or a beaver. You make a lot of damage with those machineries. So then I was gonna say the female swam into the sick pack ring, got tangled in. This music is almost as bad as Taylor Swift. Okay, perhaps I'm too bombastic and nothing's that bad. I apologize. Went too far. Lost smokestacks. Maybe it's place in China. Again? How many people are gonna choke on a... Again, so all these humans are apparently choking on like a... It's not a 2-liter, it's the... What is it, a 20 ounce? Again, I don't know. I don't buy soda. I'm guessing it's like the mini... Not mini. Like the medium-sized plastic sugar... high fructose corn syrup servicing device. So, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4... All these people keep choking on it? Has an animal ever choked on one of those bottles? I know we've heard the ring thing for decades, but how many are really choking because of a giant bottle? It's kind of sad if it is. I'm like, is that a thing? Oh, so at least it's a little bit more than halfway done. Dedication. So, and again, I'm not sure this is possible. There's like a whole field, or is it a whole ocean of, interestingly enough, not polar bears, but like grizzly bears, now drinking so many plastic containers of high fructose corn syrup delivery systems that the ocean is actually filling up with them, and it looks like they're pushing themselves up with it. Wait, who's flying the helicopters? So I guess animals can do that too. Okay. Drink type 2. Taste for new generation. Or smokestacks. Hey, there we go. We got the smokestacks, which statistically speaking, one of the countries that makes the most pollutions. Oh yeah, it's China, and they're not slowing down their economy or doing anything. Like, it's got, what is it? Some pigs smoking cigars. I didn't know they did that. Got lots of champagne. Pig with some champagne and a flow chart. That's how you know he means business. You got one of those fancy charts with the... I mean, how long... my tech company's been in, what, 7 years of business? I've never actually seen anyone in a presentation with all those BS charts where you have the bar graph just go up and up and up. It's one of those cliche things where everyone talks about profits like that. Have you ever seen that in the actual workplace? Nevertheless, we'll get back to this video. He's wearing suspenders. That's how I know it's an old-timey theme, I guess. People, what is this? Climate crisis, only 10,000 humans left. Interestingly enough, I can't help but think these are the same people who actually want to get rid of a lot of people. Because people emit carbon, don't you know? Who brought to coin the famous term of that you are the carbon they want to eliminate? Partially digress, though. Almost done. Well, someone says it's a hoax in the comments, and it zooms in on the O, and it brings you to that family standing on the iceberg. Dedicated to Homo sapiens. Wow, that was painful. Although good for brainwashing kids, I'm sure it's moderately effective. Kids love rhinos who drive in cars, I suppose. Yep. Yet another reason to not go to public school. And one of the first comments comes from Liv's TechCast saying more info. Says it was Bellevue School, show kids controversial bear adult content. Got 393 likes. Again, the original video got, I think it didn't go as viral as I thought it would. Got 129,000 views and 1.9 thousand likes. One of the first comments comes from Gunther Eagleman saying someone needs to be held accountable, getting 122 likes. So unfortunately, these days, a private person will probably get a raise and accolades. Planet of Memes, they did not respond in meme form, but nevertheless, they say, quote, why can't we get back to the foundations of learning with children instead of trying to push culture and woke ideologies on kids? Getting 63 likes, which, well, teachers teach what they want to teach and what they love. These days, it seems to be mostly ideology. Planet of Memes also says this is creepy for little kids, getting 20 likes. And it is, yeah. It's meant to scare and intimidate them into buying into this, using emotional rhetoric up the wazoo to buy into this ideology. Again, the whole theme of the video, I mean, look at the colors. I mean, get rid of that terrible music. I mean, all the colors and all the graphic designs are very... Oh, finally remember what it was reminding me of. It was remember there's a music videos by, the band is called Gorillaz, but it's spelled improperly, I believe. Remember they had a famous song called Clint Eastwood when I was a kid. It's so famous it was even on the cover of an iPod, which used to be a thing. It's in that very dark animation style as well. Like, you wouldn't show this... A normal parent would not show this to a kid. Let's just say it's the antithesis of Veggie Tales. One of the other comments comes from Saffras84 said, quote, because of woke agenda, they're pushing how far they can get until the parents flip their lids. If I were a parent, I would be at the school board demanding firings. This is not acceptable. We need to push back against their depravity. Getting 150 likes. However, under the current DOJ, you'd probably be labeled as a terrorist. Because remember that happened to parents, was it Q2 last year? Which shows you the priorities of the U.S. government. How they've become. Hallaranda Bryden, interesting name, says, quote, experts unable to explain the astronomical increase in anxiety among children. Yeah, 201 likes for that. Patriot Poitman, good name, says, tired of this liberal woke BS. And it's a picture of good old bald eagle with the American flag behind it, saying, quote, raise your wings if you're tired of this BS. Getting 35 likes. Let's see. Rosetta Curso says they should have just had them watch the original version of Animal Farm instead. Getting 50 likes, which, well, true, but that book is about how big government is evil and all mentally vacuous and morally vacuous. Public schools want children to think the antithesis. They want them to think that big government is the solution to all their problems. So they would never teach them about the fine works of art of George Orwell, such as Animal Farm and 1984, two of the most brilliant books, I would say, written, yeah, I'd say of all time. It was scary how close he called it in terms of he wrote these books obviously decades ago, and unfortunately modern tyrannical governments are actually more evil and worse than the book actually described. A lot of people, the most, not famous, but a very popular quote from George Orwell, or where they reference him as saying like, you know, I warned you of this crap, or this wasn't supposed to be a roadmap. Now that did get 50 likes. Red Wave Press says Washington is about as liberal BS state as it comes. Stop sending your kids to public schools if you can help it. Getting 53 likes. Romanti says get your children out of liberal indoctrination centers. Getting 24 likes. False Flag says this is disgusting propaganda meant to traumatize children into believing eating bugs and paying taxes will change the weather. Which, yeah, I'd love to see one instance where giving the government more money has fixed something. Seems to be the most inefficient way of using funds ever. Then you have the picture of Bobby Hill from King of the Hill pushing a sign to the window that says public schools are indoctrination and re-education centers. And 34 likes. See here. Trying to see if there's any contrarian statements. Again, there are some people who think this is going to be a great video, very compelling, and you should use fear to brainwash the kids. Let's see, a little more. FTMFW says, Bellevue, in the communist state of Washington, we should let Canada, the wannabe country, take Washington off our hands for free. Which, I mean, Canada is even worse in terms of being tyrannical and stealing your guns and not allowing you to defend yourself. I did get 5 likes. So, not too surprised. Will there be any ramifications for these teachers or the school district? No, probably not, because, again, the location. Should the parents do something? Yeah, 110%. Will anything happen? Unfortunately, perhaps I'm just jaded, but when it comes to, you know, public schools and teachers being held accountable, yeah, probably the odds are, you know, not so much. But, as always, let me know in the comments. It'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have the Boy Scouts participating in a pride parade, getting maybe 50% support and roasted on social media. Now, this is brought to us thanks to End Wokeness on X Twitter. And he says, quote, Boy Scouts just marched at the Seattle Pride Parade. This is sickening. And it's about 43 seconds long, and hopefully there's not terrible music. I mean, there probably is, but we'll go ahead and try to play it here.
Megan and Sue!
We have Lots of young boys. They're all marching. Okay, which one is this? This is a the Trans Progress flag. Again, there are so many flags it's hard to keep track of. Interestingly enough, there looks like there's 1 or 2 American flags.
Red Marshal, Seattle Center.
What's this? Seattle Pride, Grand Marshal. Someone driving a BMW, probably an automatic. Let's be honest.
Here with us today are some of the amazing leaders who started our 2 exceptional women who are champions.
Now, interestingly enough, there are a couple of more American flags. Kind of shows the priorities. The American flags. There's a couple in front. If you look at the order of them marching, what's it? There's a whole bunch. All the highest density of American flags are all in the back of the group of the Boy Scouts that are marching. And I'd say again, I'm no expert on I would say maybe they're what, maybe 8 to 13 years old on average.
Champions for the queer community. They are the.
I thought that word was bad. Like every year they change it.
Perfect Grand Marshals for our 50th year celebration.
Yep.
And happy Pride! Please make some noise for 2024. And please make some noise for our second set of Grand. Next up, we have the original 1974 activists. In June of 1974, Seattle's LGBTQ plus community celebrated its first.
That's pathetic. They're actually using a golf cart in the parade. I mean, again, at least BMW has some performance to it, but yeah, it looks like what is this? A golf cart that a woman is not putting insignificant amount of forces on the suspension. It's yeah, I think might be some might have to check with the maintenance team in terms of the service schedule. And yep, it got roasted, but a little bit positive feedback on social media. Again, the Boy Scouts are transitioning, pun not really intended. They're actually changing their name legally, I believe it was February in 2025, to the Scouting America, and allowing girls to join the program as well, thereby taking away one of the last remaining instances where boys can be boys. And a lot of people say they had to. The participation rate in terms of the number of active users are declining dramatically throughout the years, partially because of their horrific, evil things that they've done as well. And they also can't really make money because they sell crappy popcorn instead of the Girl Scouts, who are infinitely better at marketing when they sell the high fructose little discs or cookies, which, again, people love those. I've yet to see a single person in 50 years who's ever said, I love the Boy Scouts popcorn. Now, as not to brag, but I could sell popcorn for them back in the day. Not a lot, but a little. If you could sell Boy Scouts popcorn, you could sell ice to Eskimos. It's damn near impossible to do that. Usually using emotional rhetoric is the only way you do it, and saying I'm raising money to go camping somewhere. Because again, it's mostly garbage popcorn. But let's go back to the comments. Well, the first one comes from the Texas one, saying get your kids out of the Boy Scouts, getting 642 likes. Paul Suzuka saying child abuse, getting 85 likes. Don't worry, we have some contrarian comments coming up here. Planet Memes, what are they, 0 for 3 today? No meme. But nevertheless, Planet Memes said, with just typing it out, what a letdown the Boy Scouts have become, getting 93 likes, which, I mean, it's been that way for decades. They also completely destroyed the foundation in terms of they pretended like the founder didn't exist. They just tore down a statue. Again, they've been going down quite some time. Planet Memes also says woke turns everything to crap. We do have a contrarian statement from Human, although I can't help but think that's just what a robot would do. Pretend to be human. Is this really the Terminator? Well, he might be as mentally accurate as a robot, but nevertheless, he does have, interestingly enough, he has a, American flag, as well as the Ukrainian flag, blue wave flag. Describes himself as, quote, I won't say F-, but he doesn't spell out R, he just uses the letter R, which, I don't know why that annoys me, but nevertheless, he says, we are beliefs, expose lies here, hobby, spending paid trolls, try it and find out, often reply rather than post, proudly follow great minds. He says proudly follow great minds, yet I don't think he follows me, but nevertheless. He says, quote, acceptance isn't sickening. What's sickening is your relentless division of our nation based on race and gender to get likes. That's what's really sickening, which, again, he did get 5 likes, so people did appreciate his perspective. Now, again, in terms of race, I mean, anecdotally speaking, at least back in my day, we had a pretty diverse group of folks there. I mean, our guys were all different. And then in terms of gender, I mean, it's called the Boy Scouts. It was called Boy Scouts for a reason. It's no longer anymore. I mean, it used to be a place for boys to help shape them to become men. Back in the day, they actually embraced their religious foundation a little bit more. I mean, it used to be a very respected institution. However, again, also because of the horrific acts that people who work there had performed, they've been declining in popularity for decades. And less people trusted them. And a lot of people say they have to let girls and get the numbers up, or they have to do it because of acceptance. Fascinatingly enough, the Girl Scouts, I'm not sure, I researched this, they're not letting boys in. So, in terms of my 3 cents, used to be 2 cents, but 40-year hyperinflation, thanks to the ineptitudes of our government, well, I would say it doesn't seem fair that they're taking away yet another place where boys can be boys. It seems like every one of those places is being invaded and taken away from them. Which again, there are many justified reasons of why there should be separate places for you to grow and develop from a boy into a man. Just like there should be places for girls to have that experience where you have the Girl Scouts, where they give them unique leadership skills and opportunities, just like the boys. But nevertheless, we have a contrarian statement off the bat. Scrolling down more and more. What is this? Hercules the Great? It looks like Roman. I apologize. I'm definitely butchering that. It says end grooming of children by the left. It's a picture of like a magazine. It's Candace Owens. It says there is no 5-year-old in the world that is explicitly gay, lesbian, transgender, or heterosexual. Small children do not think about sex and sexuality unless they have been groomed to do so by an adult. Those are facts. Candace Owens. I got 440 likes. Great for you to say the least. Let's see. BK Trump, Take America Back, says sickening, says save the children from guns, followed by abort them, mask them, jab them, distance them, medicate them, indoctrinate them, mutilate them, sexualize them, traffic them. Liberalism is a real killer here, unquote, getting 124 likes. General TM says the Boy Scouts have been hijacked by wokeness. It's sad to see, getting 570 likes. They've also been bankrupt, and they have, a couple $1 billion in settlements? It's a rough organization, to say the least. Bruce Balu says their end goal is to sexualize and groom every children they can. How mad does this make you? Getting 307 likes. Ileana Dowding says, can't they just leave kids out of this shit? Getting 380 likes, which, no, they can't. In terms of their ideology, that's how they spread it. It's a big contributing factor. I think a lot of people would agree with that. And I don't think it's coincidence that you're seeing an increase in the frequency of these instances. Interestingly enough, I don't know why it's having issues loading it. Try to reload really quick, see if we can get a couple more comments here. Perhaps I get a couple contrarian statements. Because again, there's a lot of people that are very, what? I don't think it got deleted. Let me try one more time here really quick. Really? Something went wrong, try reloading. I don't think End Wokeness would delete this. This is pretty standard with his account in terms of the coverage, cultural topics that he covers. But yeah, interesting enough, it doesn't appear to be working at the moment. When I check other sites, let's see. They load perfectly fine. So the age-old IT joke is blame it on the network, and it is in fact not an issue with the network. Now, it will be interesting to see in terms of increasing the recruitment for the Boy Scouts of America. Will this increase the number of total scouts who are joining the organization? Is this an effective recruiting mechanism for them? Let me know. Do you think this is still a controversial thing? Depending on where you are geographically in the United States, there are some areas where this is not only accepted, it's embraced, and they don't really think anything twice of it. But I think culturally speaking, some states definitely going to reject it. In terms of legality, I don't think there's much they can do. I doubt that'll ever be stopped. Perhaps culturally, people will say, hey, it's time, place, and everything. This should be talking about these things to children. I don't see that, just with the culture of the United States, I don't see that happening anytime soon. But let me know in the comments. This isn't the first time we've seen this instance. And again, the Boy Scouts of America is rebranding completely to Scouting of America in 2025. Do you think, if anything, I think they'll increase the frequency of this in terms of they might even have a patch after it. Who knows? But let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Supreme Court rules Trump has immunity from official X. Well, this is brought to us thanks to X Twitter. And apologize, it's a little bit late to the game with this specific topic, but it says, quote, breaking, the Supreme Court has sided with President Trump, ruling that presidents cannot be held criminally liable for official actions of government and delivering a nuke to Jack Smith's January 6th indictment. It was also a 6-3 decision. And granted, this might be a little boring, but I thought it'd be interesting to read the syllabus. Again, this is argued April 20. They say, quote, a grand jury indicted former President Donald Trump on 4 counts for conduct that occurred during his presidency following the November 2020 election. The indictment alleged that after losing the election, Trump conspired to overturn it by spreading knowingly false claims of the election fraud to obstruct the collecting, counting, and certification of the election results. Trump moved to dismiss the indictment based on his presidential immunity, arguing that the president had absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for actions performed within the outer perimeter of his official responsibilities, and that the indictment's allegations fell within his core of official duties. The district court denied Trump's motion to dismiss, holding that former president do not possess the federal criminality immunity for any acts. The D.C. court confirmed. Both the district court and the D.C. court declined to decide whether the indicted conduct involved official acts. Held under the, let me scroll down. They say, quote, held under the constitutional structure of separated powers, the nature of the presidential power entitles former president to absolute immunity from criminal prosecution from actions within his conclusive and preclusive constitutional authority, and he is entitled to at least presumptive immunity from prosecution for all his official acts. There's no immunity for unofficial acts. This got more sense here. This case is the first criminal prosecution under our nation's history of a former president for actions during his presidency, determining whether and under what circumstances such a prosecution may proceed requires careful assessment of the scope of presidential power under the Constitution. The nature of that power requires that the former president have some immunity from criminal prosecution for official act during his tenure in office. So a little bit long of a speech, so to say, or synopsis. Went pretty well all over, but in this case got 1.7 million views and 19,000 likes, with some of the first comments come from Greg Price, who is just a dancing Trump video. Got 847 likes. Now, do you have a contrarian statement right off the bat? Our favorite leftist, Luke Zaleski. Well, not really favorite, but I do follow many people just because life can get a little bit boring in the echo chamber, and he is very much a leftist. He's one of the guys who pins his profile that he's proud about an article he wrote about how a young boy should not be allowed to play football. He also has a picture of him in a cartoon wearing a V-neck, which, again, I'm no fashion aficionado, except today. I have to say, today I look spot on, obviously. But he has a picture of him as a cartoon wearing a V-neck t-shirt, which, if you're a man, is maybe appropriate for like a date at home with the wife after 5 years of marriage. Like, you've been well established in the relationship, then it might be appropriate, I think, to wear that. But nevertheless, Luke says, quote, the macro narrative is always the same. Trump can do whatever he wants. A continuation of the Nixon nightmare that erases the Constitution, accountability, and the rule of law, and replaces it with omerta politics, Republicans obscuring justice to preserve their criminal autocracy. Which, mostly mentally vacuous, yes, but 12 people did agree with Luke. Was he ratioed? No. Big Tech Sauce says, but Orange Man bad, getting 2 likes. Mystic Captain said, did Trump have a secret server and smash his cell phones with hammers? Remind me. I'll give it a like. That got 3 likes. Let's see here. Is there anyone agreeing with him? Mr. Boab says, show us on the doll where the Orange Man grabbed you, getting 2 likes. So, again, 12 people liked him. The comments responding to him were, well, not positive. Paul Zupa says, haha, love it, getting 38 likes. Livercat Media TM said, it's all over now. Libs are going to be coping and seething today. What is it? It's the NPC guy. It says, free speech is dangerous unless the rules control it, getting 161 likes. Jcash MAGA Queen, which I would say A+ for marketing, but she also has a orange in her profile name. Let's see here. She says, quote, this is epic. The Supreme Court ruled exactly as they should. Courts only need to clarify or clearly determine what acts of a president is official and what is unofficial. A major win for Trump, getting 361 likes. Tony Kinnett says, but the walls were supposed to be closing in, and they have the famous, well, I was going to say liberal girl. It's kind of obvious when she has short hair, glasses, and she's wearing a beanie and a raincoat, which, I mean, even I don't dress that bad, and I'm a guy. That guy, and she's, from Trump got elected, she epically, like a mentality of a child, fell to her knees and cried, which was, yes, hilarious. That got 307 likes. Red Wave Press says the biggest Supreme Court decision in the history of the United States. Trump wins again. Now let's go win in November. Getting 567 likes. Andrew Fisher says Biden lawfare is fully exploded. Getting 259 likes. I mean, that's one of those things, though. Now there are people calling on Biden to actually ban felons from running. So might Biden just do an executive order to say Trump can't run? I shall tell. Jessica Bowman says LFG. Thomas Massey was right. Jack Smith is invalid. And this is a highlight. It says, this is from the Supreme Court documentation. It says, quote, no former president has faced criminal prosecution for his acts while in office in more than 200 years since the founding of our country. And this is so despite numerous past presidents taking actions that many would argue constitute crimes. If it is unprecedented prosecution, it is to proceed. It must be conducted by someone duly authorized to do so by the American people. The lower courts should thus answer the essential questions concerning the special counsel's appointment to proceeding. That's 75 likes. Constance Underfoot. Funny name, but perfect profile picture is, in fact, of George Washington, the OG, as some might say. And he says, quote, after the debate and Supreme Court decisions, the White House today. And it's the White House with the flag upside down because, yeah, Biden administration might be scared. They got 12 likes. James R. says, can we expect Jack's arrest? Getting 79 likes. Plantation scientist guy? The parody account says the Supreme Court is sided with Trump. And it's the Giga Chad black and white picture with him dressed up as Supreme Court costume. I say, for how often I reference to the Supreme Court, perhaps I should add that to my novelty wardrobe for the show. James R. says, what were the three against it liberals getting 11 likes, which, yeah, probably. Hyatt Europa says, we are beyond back, getting 19 likes. Rocation says, LFG Trump, and it's Trump dancing. Let's see. Salty Texan says, let the meltdowns from illiterate dopes commence, getting 54 likes. I don't want to say she gets an F- for marketing, but she does not have a Texas hat on, and she claims to be a salty Texan. Nevertheless, she did get 54 likes. Fade says a major win for America, getting 97 likes. CSA says get ready for the left to melt down, getting 53 likes, which, yep, spoiler alert, it is spreading like wildfire, or some might say drowning in liberal tears, something to that effect. What is this, a t-shirt? Pretty sure Joe Biden says, put the Dem in dementia, getting 39 likes. There's Joe Biden attempting to shake the hand of someone who isn't there. Got 9 likes. Summarize. That's a pretty good profile name. They're doing exactly what they claim to be doing. I'll follow that. The Summarize says, quote, summary. The Supreme Court ruled that Trump versus the United States that a former president had absolute immunity from prosecution for official acts, not for unofficial acts. This is a landmark decision on presidential powers, getting 3 likes. So it will be interesting to see what kind of ripple effect this has. And again, we may speculate, what if they just expand the Supreme Court? I mean, what could happen next? As I usually say, time, of course, shall tell. Other interesting political news, you have Nancy Pelosi attempting to defend Biden's debate and speaking ineptitudes. However, she herself stutters epically. Some might argue even more than me, which, granted, is saying something. Now, she's on, of course, CNN. This is brought to us thanks to RNC Research. And they say, quote, perhaps sending Crazy Nancy out to defend Biden's cognitive ability wasn't the best idea. Which, I mean, yeah, she is the most famous and most successful Wall Street trader in history. She just happens to know the market better than Warren Buffett. Because she's obviously corrupt and evil as all hell. Some might argue she is. Some might argue Nancy, she's as wise as she is beautiful. Some might say. Which, granted, is probably the worst Trump impression you hear all year, but at least you heard it here. And it's only about 28 seconds long, so I'll go ahead and I'll let her attempt to speak. Which, I don't know who's addressing her these days, but she has a necklace with like golf ball sized pearls all over it. And maybe a couple of magic bouncy ball size. That's just ridiculous. It looks comical. And she has a yellow blazer, which, I mean, some might argue she's as intelligent as a banana. I don't think it's the best move. But at least it is unique, I guess.
And, while he may be saying we're enablers, we see Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issues, how informed he is. And I debate with him about legislation, not debate, but discuss it with him. He's right there. So in any case, it was a bad night. Let's not sugarcoat that. It was a bad night. It was a great presidency. And
yeah, coming from San Francisco, because they've done such a good job there. Huh, that's a joke. No, it's horrifying to live there. That's why I don't. Well, many reasons. Went pretty well. I got 1.2 million views and 12,000 likes. Now, one of the first comments comes from Paul Zupa saying, is she drunk? Getting 334 likes, which, perhaps, but drunk on power, more accurately. Let's see here. What's this? PLC says, I smell desperation. It's a dog, or a cartoon of a dog, dedicated to CNN viewers, getting 29 likes. Let's see. Livercat Media TM says she's drunk again and says, when you're so full of crap, you need 2 a-holes. She's standing by 2 other Democrats, getting 116 likes. Joseph Alexander says, quote, remember, they will wheel them into vote until they're dead if you let them, complicit, treasonous crooks. Yep, that got 244 likes, which, Again, one of the most evil women in history. You have Feinstein, who, again, wanted to take away your guns and did everything she could to do so for decades. They rolled her out. She didn't remember what she voted on, and she couldn't remember where she was, but she kept voting. And what was it? Her granddaughter had, I forget the specific nuanced term, in terms of having custody over someone's life. There's a specific trade term for that. But yeah, conservatorship? Yes, there we go. So her granddaughter had conservatorship over her. So legally, Feinstein could not make decisions for herself, but she could apparently for millions of Americans. And they just kept wheeling her out, and she just kept voting. Or, let's be honest, miraculously, they kept pressing the button for her. It was just, I mean, that's just elder abuse. She was not there. You could tell in the last couple of interviews Feinstein did. But that's what they do. They cling on to power until the late day they die. I mean, just like Supreme Court. What was it? Was it Sotomayor? Not Sotomayor. What was it? Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was so egotistical, so selfish for power, she did not retire or step down under Barack Obama's presidency. Which again, many of her colleagues are saying, hey, step down now so then Obama could elect someone else and you secure a leftist majority for years. And yet she didn't. She clung on to power to her dying day, which many people see as a blessing since, thanks to her passing away under Trump, now you have many people who actually believe in the Constitution on the Supreme Court, which is angering many people. Throwing down more and more. Base Chef says this, and so boy and his father says, why are Democrats hate America, Grandpa? Oh, Grandpa. Says, quote, there's no more Democrats, they're all left retards and communists. Getting 242 likes, which, yeah, a lot of my childhood friends who were Democrat back then, even they're voting like libertarian and right, just because like their opinions haven't shifted, but the Democrat Party has shifted so much they can't recognize it. And more people, I think, are seeing that. I think that got 242 likes. Base electrician says, does anyone else smell scotch? This picture of Pelosi, it got 411 likes. Jem Horn says the Democrats are in a free fall right now, getting 217 likes. KC says, appears someone has been out drinking with David DePaul because she is hammered, getting 184 likes. May says this is the greatest clip ever. Thank you for this, getting 325 likes. Let's see. Was it Rob Trickle says it doesn't matter. The deep fakes are going to damage and they're nonstop. This is Biden. What is he speaking here?
Anyway.
At least he has a suit on. Did something right. Or someone did it for him. Let's see here. Roland D. Chain says, well, all she know... What? Oh, no, it's just... Couldn't see that word for a second there. We all know she insider trades and respect she needs to be prosecuted. Getting 70 likes. Yeah, but they're... I mean, it's legal for them. They're not going to be prosecuted. And again, this is one of the few things I actually do. And again, I think she's mostly meant to be vacuous. But AOC actually does agree with Matt Gaetz in terms of trying to get it so that it's actually illegal for these politicians to trade. Because, again, they are making the rules and they could, buy stock before they change the law, and then the stock goes up because perhaps you're going to have you're going to have the government order a new batch of missiles. Spoiler alert, there's one or two companies that manufacture a majority of the missile munitions for the U.S. Let's see. Any contrarian comments here? There's got to be someone who likes her. The flag guy says she's as old and decrepit as Joe. She's next to nursing home, getting 79 likes. Cheryl Kane says the truth always comes out. January 6th says a Marxist plot orchestrated by the true insurrectionists, and is Pelosi tearing up his Donald Trump speech, getting 14 likes. Janice says Nancy Pelosi, senile, drunk, and unhinged, getting 32 likes. What the heck? The old vintage Beetle, I think. 45 Trump All has a picture of a girl pulling outside of a Beetle with holding a couple bottles of liquor. It says Nancy Pelosi lies for work. And 48 likes. Yeah, there are a lot of people speculating she was inebriated. I don't know if that was a thing or not. So, yeah, kind of backfired. And, again, she could have done a lot better job defending him. Granted, it's a tall order, but still not great news for Nancy Pelosi. But we'll see what the future holds for her. Other interesting political news, you have the AOC tweeting about the Supreme Court with Trump immunity ruling. And spoiler alert, yeah, she's not happy. This comes to us thanks to her ex-Twitter account, in which she says, quote, Supreme Court has become consumed by corruption crisis beyond its control. I could probably attempt her a few accents, but it'd be futile, and it'd be, truth be told, it'd probably annoy the hell out of everyone trying to listen. She continues saying, quote, today's ruling represents an assault on American democracy. It's all up to Congress to defend our nation from this authoritarian capture. I intend to be filing the articles of impeachment upon our return. Which, always a pot calling the kettle black. Who's been arresting their political opponents for years? It's always the same cliche line. Someone needs to make a t-shirt or something that's assault on American democracy. Some people who actively are trying to do that. Now she, again, went viral though. Got 4.7 million views and 108,000 likes. Again, there's a lot of people, some might argue mentally vacuous or inebriated, who follow and love AOC. And I was about to say the eloquence that she has, let's be honest, it's mostly gobbledygook. But again, she's good on the social media. And who knows what her political future may bring and what she does. Although, perhaps the best metaphor was the only bartender that didn't bring anything to the table, but I partially digress. One of the first comments, and again, as youth might say, she got ratioed, to say the least. One of the first comments comes from Paul Zazupa saying, "Are you really this dumb, AOC?" Getting 14,000 likes. Paul Zazupa says, "We're a constitutional republic. Didn't you learn anything in college? There's already a way to hold presidents accountable: impeachment, removal, and being tried for treason. You're in Congress, AOC. You couldn't have done something if you wanted to, but didn't. You're all talk, no action." Getting 2.7 thousand likes. Brother Eagleman said, quote, "LOL, you really should resign and do some laundry for your dude. You would make more of an impact at home than you do in Congress." Getting 3.9 thousand likes, which that's kind of mean to say because she might drown herself. I'm not sure her technical, mental intellect, but laundry can be complicated for some people. I mean, just separating some of the clothes could be a tall order. Lives with TikTok says, "I see you're taking it well," getting 4.8 thousand likes. Clown World says, "You seem triggered," getting 1.9 thousand likes. Finally, we have a contrarian statement. We had to search for a little bit here, but we did find one. Mark Hamill, he's an actor. He's really rudimentary. Some people like him because of the Star Trek. Kidding, don't want to trigger you, but I know it's the Star Wars. But really, he had one good movie ever, let's be honest. Corvette Summer. I mean, Corvette Summer, not only was it about American muscle car, which used to come with a stick shift, as all cars should be, but it's also about summer, a great time of the year. That was really the only good thing Mark Hamill's ever done in his life. But nevertheless, people worship him because he holds a little light stick. And he says, "Thank you, AOC." He got 7.7 thousand likes. Because so many people worship Mark Hamill. And Mark Hamill does, no matter what Biden does, no matter what the White House does, he would support it. Can't help but remember when he was supporting Ukraine, some of the Ukrainian soldiers, there's a Nazi flag in the back, and he still cheered him on. J.O., she says, "Let's effing go," getting 1.7 thousand likes. The redheaded libertarian, A+ for marketing, she is in fact redheaded and libertarian, says, quote, "You grow more retarded by each day," getting 8.6 thousand likes. Planet of Memes, again, no meme, but nevertheless, Planet of Memes says, "You need to accept the decision of the court. Anything else would be a threat to our democracy," getting 543 likes. Jill Day, CEO of Louder Crowder, says, "They don't like the ruling that gives more power to the states, so they threaten to pack the court and get their way. They don't like the way that Congress is the body most responsible for holding the president accountable. They want to just impeach justices. Those will burn anything to get what they want." They got 9,000 views and 596 likes. Well, 97. The Quartering says the Supreme Court isn't going to date you, getting 140 likes. Hey, we do have a contrarian statement. And again, Art Candy, well, her name is Candy, spelled Candee. And the emoji that she uses in her name is a bag of popcorn, which, spoiler alert, is salty, not sweet, and a cup of water with a straw in it, which, again, unless it's sugar water, is also not sweet. But her name is Art Candy. Her name is dumb. This is ridiculous. She's very much a leftist, so of course I follow her. I want to gain more perspective, have some contrarian statements, make sure not just an echo chamber. But that is a silly name. Candy, it's almost as ridiculous as his name like Topping. Oh wait, I partially digress. But again, she said, yes, get it done. Although I don't know if she also uses too many sprinkles on her candy or ice cream, but what is that, like 7 exclamation points? She's quite bombastic. Hodgson says AOC is a domestic terrorist, getting 1.7 thousand likes. Cat Turd has a gif of a girl doing the crying symbol with the hands. It got 5.1 thousand likes. Let's see here. Elon Musk. Let's see. Elon Musk is that a retweet? And it says AOC to the Supreme Court. You're impeached. Everyone's to be impeached. Getting 2.9 thousand likes. The Persistence says, quote, "Can you please do a rally for Cory Bush like you did for Jamal Bowman? Please. Let's see here. Persistence also said, "You won't secure the border, protect women from being," I was trying to keep this moderately family friendly, from being assaulted in an adult way, to stop 300 Americans from dying from fentanyl poisoning a day. We see your priorities. Getting 10,000 likes. Oh, jeez. Sarah Rose says, assault on American democracy. You're an effing buffoon. Go back to being a failed bartender because your IQ is less than a shoelace. And it's a picture of AOC, and it looks like she's trying to say something, but someone photoshopped some letters on her dress. It says BJs are real jobs. Got 3,000 likes. Redway Press says, impeachment for what? Doing their job? You're a clown, and I hope you get voted out of power. Getting 2.3 thousand likes. Julia says, you're nuts. And a picture of AOC. I don't know. I remember George Washington. It is July 4th. Maybe we'll get a couple more comparisons. I mean, George Washington was famous. People think he had donkey teeth and, wooden teeth. And he had a mixture of different materials. It reminds me, it almost looks like her teeth are from a donkey. They're very strong. She could bite through I was going to say a carrot. Anyone could do that. Like a raw stick. Those are some choppers. Yeah, but it nevertheless says AOC looking at like a donkey. It says, great news, my IQ test came back negative. And that got 1.2 thousand likes. Buzz Patterson says, AOC taking it well, make me a drink, bitch, getting 1.3 thousand likes. Joel Pelton says, AOC wants to impeach every U.S. Supreme Court justice who rules in a way that doesn't align with her political views. Who is the real threat to democracy here? They have 1.3 thousand likes. Right-wing dad says the SCOTUS doesn't rule how I like, therefore it's corrupt. AOC getting 3.3 thousand likes. Let's see. Are there any other contrarian statements? There's a lot of funny memes of her being mentally vacuous. Which, again, she is very good at social media. Again, obviously I'm not that good. Obviously you see the views every once in a while. Kind of sporadic to say the least. But, again, she has a skill set. It got her into office. She's good at marketing to the people who are leftist. Let's see here. Any more contrarian statements? So yeah, we're seeing people melt down left and right. It's actually fascinating. No matter what she says, she still is not getting voted out. People love her in her area. They overwhelmingly just vote for her again and again and again. So it'll be interesting to see, what type of meltdowns we see further from her. But yeah, not too surprised at her with this rhetoric that's coming from her. And it'll be interesting to see at the end of the day. Do you think she'll actually, read a book or understand the Constitution? Let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Representative Ilhan Omar hosting an event with 0 American flags, but many Somalian flags while speaking Somali. Interesting. Now this comes to us thanks to End Wokeness on X Twitter, in which he says, quote, Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat, just held an event in Minneapolis, 0 English, 0 American flags. Which, I would say F- for marketing. What the heck is she wearing? Looks like something you get out of Hobby Lobby, like a dress, like made out of blankets. I'm kidding, it's probably her. Maybe it's her brother's? Kind of a pun, because, yeah, she's very close to her brother. Let's see what she's saying here. For the record, she is not rapping. This isn't a music video. I thought it might have been at first. It is, in fact, not. She's on a stage speaking to a whole crowd of people. And you see the audience, they got all the Somali flags. Not a single suit out there. Come on. And let's see. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe there's like there's no subtitles in this. But yeah, very large crowd. They love her over there. A lot of people in the crowd. Yeah, 2.8 million views on social media. It's quite a few to say the least. 33,000 likes. Again, she's catering to the audience. There's a reason Minnesota, many people say it was been conquered. They recently changed their flag so that it's not identical to the Somalian flag, but pretty much like a discounted flag from Somalia. If you went to Somalia, you got one of their flags from like the dollar store, like a knockoff flag. It kind of looked the same. So the historic flag that Minnesota's used for, longer than I've been alive, and the beautiful artwork on it. It's now rudimentary, has a star and similar silly rudimentary shapes on it. And yeah, this is, I think, one of the biggest differences that we've seen culturally, as well as politically, through my life, or past couple decades. You really don't see a lot of assimilation in the United States, or like a melting pot anymore. I mean, when my mom came from Cuba, and no, I'll beat that in the comments. We did not swim here. They actually got a plane. One of the last planes out, fascinatingly enough, when Fidel took over. Another topic for another time, or a story for another time. But I mean, when they got here, they immediately started learning English and assimilate to the culture. I mean, when I was a kid, she spoke a little bit of Spanish. I know like one or two phrases. But yeah, but you see places like Minnesota, especially Minneapolis, it is almost like it's basically Somalia. I mean, there's been pictures and videos where, again, I don't see a single American flag here. And yet you see there, and again, that's, I think, to me, and let me know in the comments if you think differently, but it used to be there's much more assimilation, but nowadays, not so much. And again, went pretty viral. One of the first comments comes from Gunther Eagleman saying, quote, Ilhan is a traitor. She has no business representing Americans. It got 9.8 thousand likes, which she's also publicly said her main priority is not the United States, it's Somalia. And many people have also mirrored that as well. Which, again, if the United States and Minneapolis isn't her top priority, why does she have that job? And the people there elected her, but they're also from Somalia. And granted, they're becoming American citizens. But it is fascinating to see someone in the U.S. government openly admit that America is not their top priority. Now, and then we do have some contrarian statements. We have human. Well, we'll say this alleged human because that's just what a robot would use as a real name, wouldn't it? And this human is, of course, if you're tuning into a long format show, you know he's a leftist. He has an American flag, Ukrainian flag, and a blue wave. There's his profile picture. Got 34,000 followers. And he says, quote, your fixation on American flags is a sad attempt to question Representative Omar's patriotism, where flags are present at a single event is irrelevant to her dedication to serving her district and country. Furthermore, implying that this event was un-American. Oh, wow, it goes on and on. Well, he's pissed when he uses bold for some letters. Nevertheless, he says, quote, let's see here. Furthermore, implying that this event is un-American is both offensive and false. Representative Omar is a duly elected U.S. representative engaging with her constituents is the very essence of American democracy. Now it's unbold. He says, quote, stop spreading misinformation designed to divide Americans. Every single one of your posts is to divide our nation by race, gender, or religion. A divided nation is weak. Mostly mentally vacuous, but 227 people did like his comment. Now, in terms of, what is it? Oh yeah, end wokeness. I mean, I've been following that profile for quite some time. There's a lot of cultural posts that he has, and I don't see him trying to divide us in those ways. This person also says a divided nation is weak. I agree with that sentiment. However, I think our country is partially divided culturally and politically because people are not assimilating to American values such as the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, which, again, there are some people, regardless of I don't give a damn what someone's race is. If they don't believe in the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, they should not work in government, which is quite horrifying that there are many people in government who want to take away your guns, tax the hell out of you. Again, if the founding fathers ever found out, they'd be disgusted beyond belief. Now, Human continues saying, quote, what's this? Roch? Hubster? I don't know this. He responded saying, quote, this Ukrainian flag works like a charm. It exposes a paid Russian troll farm bots like clockwork. It never fails to smoke out the Kremlin's most pathetic disinformation pushholders. I probably support Ukraine. Why? So someone, I guess, responded saying Ukrainian flag, LOL. I got 27 likes, which, again, this person's not from Ukraine. There's a fascination with some Americans supporting country. It's even more crazy where you see some Americans, they won't have a United States flag on their property, but they have the Ukrainian flag there. Or again, they couldn't point to it on a map or tell us if we're the top 10 trading partners of that country. Spoiler alert, we are not one of their top 10 trading partners for business. But nevertheless, he continued with that. Wait, hey, we do have someone who agreed with him. Someone said, Rad Thoughts says, literally all the people like end wokeness are so obsessed with flags and size of everything are only showing how shallow they are. There's no substance or quantity in what they talk about when it comes to the future of our country. She got 47 likes. Oh, Bam Algo says, plenty of flags present, just not American ones. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. Got 18 likes. Which, yeah, flags are important. The United States flag is supposed to literally unite all 50 states. It's quite unfortunate that our flags are actually more prevalent in the United States these days, as crazy as that might sound. Going back to the main comments, Planet of Memes. Again, there's no meme, really, Planet of Memes, only text today. Nevertheless, this alleged Planet of Memes says she is anti-American, getting 223 likes. Also, this person says this is the goal of globalists, getting 80 likes. Paul Zupa goes one step further, saying Ilhan Omar is a terrorist, getting 280 likes. Class 6 group says foreigners and people with dual citizenship should not be allowed in the government, getting 2.3 thousand likes, which, That would be a very interesting debate. If you're a U.S. government official, should you have dual citizenship? Should your top priority be the United States? I mean, obviously, I think your top priority should be the United States. Should they be allowed to have dual citizenship? That would be interesting. Maybe we should vote to make that illegal, or they have to repeal it. Because again, one of the biggest critiques of her, not just hating America, but many people also critique her, saying the United States is not her top priority. Which, well, she's also said that quite out loud several times. Which, if it's not your first top priority, why should you have the ability to serve in public office? When again, whatever your political affiliation is, your top priority should be for the American people. Now, General TM says because Omar is a domestic terrorist and hates America, getting 2.7 thousand likes. Let's see. What's this? Perkles the Great says Omar's disgrace. America is last for her. Let's prosecute her for lying on immigration documents when she married her brother and expel her from America. And she says, quote, it's not because you're Muslim, or not her, it's a picture of her, and the text says, it's not because you're Muslim, it's because you're a criminal, anti-Semitic, anti-American, and pro-terrorist, and a disgraced member of Congress. At 863 likes. Which, yeah. Let's see here. DK says someone needs to buy her a one-way ticket back to Somalia. Which, it is fascinating. She constantly says how much she hates the United States and how evil the United States is. Yet, someone with, I can't think of any qualifications, came to America and got a job and got a job in government. I mean, how often does it happen in other countries? It literally is it's the land of opportunity if you work for it. Or DK also has a picture of her, says, we Democrats are fighting for an inclusive America, except for the old elderly white men, Republicans, Christians, veterans, Southerners, etc. Got 404 likes. Let's see. Liberty NH says accurate. It says people marking their social media pages so the FBI and IRS will pass over them. It's the old biblical saying in terms of blood over your door threshold. They're putting the pride flag and it says BLM, Democrat, peace sign. Got 271 likes for that particular post. Let's see here. Any other contrarian statements? One bad dude says she's not loyal to the United States, getting 1,000 likes. Joshua Walker says expel her. She obviously doesn't represent Americans. Her and her brother need to be deported, getting 920 likes. The base electrician says this is what needs to be removed from all political leadership in the U.S. immediately. If you're not America first, you're America last. Got 349 likes. Bad Kitty Unleashed says, I hereby rename Minneapolis Little Somalia. 197 likes. Mirna says Obama did this. He brought in Omar. He chooses MN to go Muslim. Sorry, he chose Minnesota to go Muslim. Got 215 likes. Ray says remove all dual citizenship from positions of power, getting 529 likes. Let's see here. The Flag Guy says, on the contrary, rallies in support of Israel always have American flags, getting 208 likes. Unlimited L's said this shouldn't be allowed, getting 385 likes. Tim Young says, but was her husband and brother there to support her, getting 307 likes. Let's see here. Katie Charlotte says, and the Prime Minister of Somalia is on hand for support. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, did suit up and tie up pretty good. He looks fancy. What's he say? Oh, actually, probably won't be able to understand him unless we'll see what he says. So, obviously, it's not English, but on the text on the screen it says, here, Representative Ilhan Omar, who has written the name of Somalia with a gold pen. She says the interests of Ilhan are not Ilhan. Not the interest of Minnesota, or the interest of the American people. The interest of Ilhan is that of Somalian people and Somalia. Now, I'm not sure if this. I don't speak the language. I'm not sure if this is an accurate translation. I mean, we've heard similar things before in English, but I don't know for sure. He says the success of Ilhan is the success of Somalia and carries a heavy meaning to the U.S. Me speaking in the name of Somalian people, I'll just scroll through it. Everywhere they are on the planet, I'm asking that you support and give money to Ilhan's campaign to support her with your votes. Tell your neighbors and friends and anyone who you know to come out and support Ilhan Omar so they can ultimately vote for her and knock on every door you can for her so that she can be reelected. What is your promise? Your promise is to come and shoulder to Elon's shield, or to be her shield, and vote for her again. With all of you working together, thank you, God bless. Again, have you ever seen that where a foreign dignitary comes to the U.S. and says how important it is to support them? And again, I'm not sure if this is an accurate translation. This might have been photoshopped by someone. This is just a video. It looks like it was reposted by Dr. Carlo. And they did get 59 likes. One more. Moon Soon says, disgusting, and some warning signs that says, beware of members of Congress pretending to be Americans. Getting 103 likes. Here. Any contrarian statements? Gretchen Smith says she's not an American, she's Somalian. Her words and actions show her loyalty is with her native land. Getting 371 likes. Let's see. No, I'm not seeing any contrarian statements. Because again, she's been reelected in spades, as some might say. I mean, they vote for her overwhelmingly, and she's been successfully elected multiple times. She's been in power for years. It'll be interesting to see if this video goes viral and it actually has any effect on her. Again, the local population loves her. It will be interesting to see, maybe culturally, politically, if there's any support in the U.S. to actually pass laws where you could not have dual citizenship if you're in a position of government power. And yeah, it is quite interesting to see, because yeah, we've seen the flag. No one would have ever thought that a state would actually change their flag after this many years. And the flag literally looks like a cheap knockoff of the Somalian flag, which is already rudimentary design to say the least. Granted, not like my penmanship is any better and I could maybe design a better flag, but let me know in the comments. Do you think maybe this will just peter out? Does anyone in the middle or maybe politically left or might see this post and maybe be concerned or horrified? Let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have a pharmaceutical company recalling medication because it may cause cardiac arrest. This is brought to us thanks to the New York Post, which is by David Proper over there. It says, quote, medical manufacturer recalls 135 batches of medication over fear capsules could cause cardiac arrest. FDA, which, yep, not great to say the least. Pulling up that here. And they say, quote, a combined 135 batches of capsules are being pulled back from consumers because the flawed medication could lead to cardiac arrest. Glenmark Pharmaceuticals recalled 114 batches of potassium chloride extended release capsules and American Health Packaging on behalf of Blue Point Laboratories, recalling 21 batches of the same capsules last week. The voluntary recall was issued because of a failed dissolution of the capsules, which could possibly lead to a high potassium levels, also known as hyperleukemia. According to the company's announcements posted by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, hyperleukemia in turn can result in irregular heartbeat and could open the door to cardiac arrest, the company said. The recall for Glenmark was issued Monday, and recall for Blue Point was issued the following day. Again, there's a picture of the capsules, so hopefully if you see them in your medical cabinet, if you have any friends on them, let them know immediately. Both companies said, quote, to date, the firm has not received any reports of hyperleukemia or serious adverse events from the spontaneous sources related to this recall, which is good news, obviously. They say the capsules are intended for patients with low potassium, known as hyperleukemia. They are packed in bottles of 100 units and 500 units. FDA posted this recall batch numbers for Glenmark and Blue Point on their website. Let's see here. Summary, drugs, the potassium. Maybe we actually get their specific recall number. It's like capsule, like batch 1 is NDC 68462 35701. Again, NDC 68342 35701. And for Blue Point, for that recall number, oh geez, it's 21 batches. That's a lot of SKUs to say the least. So just to be safe, just go ahead and toss them out. I'm not sure what the cost is, but obviously the cost of your health is much more important than losing a couple dollars on some pills. But yeah, possibly having heart attacks. That's the cardiac arrest. That's not great news for a pharmaceutical company. I mean, if you have some people sign off on a release, I guess you don't get in trouble. But in this case, I don't think they had that forethought to do that. So, silver lining of the situation is, thankfully, no one's been adversely hurt by this. The recall's ahead of the game in terms of no adverse side effects. No one has actually passed away from this. So there's a silver lining. But again, one of the detriments to pharmaceutical things and any health-related products, when things go wrong, they can go terribly, horrifically wrong, and that's terrible for a brand unless those people are going to trust them So I gotta say, Glenmark having a recall of this because it could be potentially deadly. That certainly has to be the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers at the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.